Welcome back to Trust Your Oats. In our first season, we took a journey together from the soil to the shelf. We talked about the seed, the field, the harvest, the mill, and the certifications that create a system of trust you can count on. We built the foundation. Now in season 2, we're going to build on that foundation. We're going to look forward. We're going to explore the cutting edge of science, nutrition, and agriculture. And we're starting with the most important topic of all, the science of celiac disease itself, and the incredible research that's paving the way for a future beyond the gluten-free diet. This is a story of hope. It's a story of progress. This is Trust the Science. For decades, the only treatment for celiac disease has been a strict, lifelong gluten-free diet. And while it's an essential tool, we've learned it's not a perfect solution. Far from it. Even for the most careful person, accidental gluten exposure is a constant threat. A study called the Cater study found that even among patients who believed they were on a perfectly strict diet, 69% still had gluten show up in their stool samples. And for 53% of them, the damage to their intestines, the villus atrophy we've talked about, was still there. Think about that. More than half of the people doing everything right were still not healing. And the long-term data is just as sobering. It can take adults nearly 4 years to achieve confirmed mucosal recovery. Some never fully heal. And that incomplete healing carries risks, a 2-fold higher risk of non-Hodgkin lymphoma and a 3-fold higher risk of small intestinal adenocarcinoma. This isn't to scare anyone, it's to be honest. The gluten-free diet is a lifeline, but it's a leaky one. It places a huge burden on individuals and families, and it doesn't always solve the underlying problem. That's why the scientific community has been working so hard to find a better way. So how do you stop an immune system from attacking itself? For years, the answer was to suppress it. But what if you could retrain it instead? What if you could teach it to recognize gluten not as an enemy, but as something harmless? That's the revolutionary idea behind a new therapy called TPM-502, developed by a German company called Topus Therapeutics. Imagine tiny polymer-coated iron oxide nanoparticles. They're microscopic. And attached to these nanoparticles are the specific fragments of gluten, the gliadin peptides, that trigger the celiac reaction. When these nanoparticles are infused into the bloodstream, they travel to the liver. Now, the liver is a fascinating organ. It's not just a filter, it's a place where the immune system learns what's a friend and what's a foe. The specialized cells lining the liver's blood vessels, the sinusoidal endothelial cells, are designed to induce tolerance. When these cells encounter the TPM-502 nanoparticles, they essentially present the gluten fragments to the immune system's T cells in a peaceful, non-threatening way. It's like reintroducing 2 old enemies in a calm, controlled environment and saying, you don't have to fight anymore. The T cells that were programmed to attack gluten are reprogrammed. They become tolerogenic. They learn to ignore it. In a recently completed Phase 2A clinical trial, the results were incredibly promising. Patients who received TPM-502 showed a significant dose-dependent reduction in the inflammatory signals, like IL-2 and interferon gamma, that are the hallmarks of the celiac attack. The therapy was safe, and it worked. It taught the body not to fight. This isn't a cure, not yet, but it's a monumental step toward a world where a celiac diagnosis doesn't mean a lifetime of fear and restriction. If TPM-502 is about teaching peace, another groundbreaking approach is about stopping the war before it starts. This involves a molecule called interleukin-15, or IL-15. Remember from our research how the celiac attack happens? Gluten gets in, it's modified by TTG, and it's presented to T cells. But what really pours gasoline on the fire is IL-15. Stressed intestinal cells pump out IL-15, which acts like a supercharger for the immune system. It activates the cytotoxic T cells, the intraepithelial lymphocytes, or IELs, that are the real destroyers of the intestinal lining. IL-15 is the command that tells them to kill. So, what if you could block that command? That's exactly what a new drug from Teva Pharmaceuticals called TEV-53408 is designed to do. It's a monoclonal antibody that specifically targets and neutralizes IL-15. By blocking IL-15, you break the chain of command. The T cells may still see the gluten, but the order to attack and destroy never gets through. The intestinal lining is protected from the devastating damage that causes villus atrophy. In May of 2025, the FDA granted this drug Fast Track designation, recognizing its potential to treat a serious condition and fill an unmet medical need. It's now in a Phase 2A trial, and it represents another powerful strategy. Not just tolerating gluten, but disarming its ability to do harm. TPM 502 and TEV-53408 are just two of the brightest stars in a whole galaxy of new research. The pipeline is full of brilliant ideas. There are oral enzymes, like latiglutenase, designed to break down gluten in the stomach before it can even reach the small intestine. There are other nanoparticle therapies, like KAN101 and TAK101, that also aim to induce tolerance through the liver. There are even new diagnostic tools on the horizon. Researchers are working on non-invasive biomarkers and AI-supported diagnostics that could one day make the endoscopic biopsy a thing of the past. For the first time, we are looking at a future with a multi-pronged approach to managing celiac disease. A future where a strict gluten-free diet might be just one tool in the toolbox, not the only one. So why, with all this incredible science on the horizon, does our commitment to purity protocol matter more than ever? Because until these therapies are approved, available, and accessible to everyone, the single most powerful tool we have to protect our health is the food we eat. The science is coming, but for the millions living with celiac disease today, trust is what they live by. Trust in the label, trust in the farm, trust in the process. And as we look to a future of new treatments, that foundation of trust, that commitment to purity from the very start, remains the bedrock of well-being. The science gives us hope for tomorrow, but the purity of our food gives us health today. Join us next time as we explore the connection between the health of our food and the health of the planet. We're going to talk about the soil,